Hello everyone and welcome to another Firefly Studios video. This week we're back with another very special episode of Stronghold Chill, or should I say Roman's Age of Caesar and Chill. To that end, I've got one of our online producers, Ben Tarrant, one of the newer members of the studio, to come down here and answer some questions both about Roman's Age of Caesar and Stronghold Kingdoms, and obviously about himself. How you doing, Ben?
Not too bad, yourself?
I'm very well. Now that we're down here in chatting, Ben, I'm all good.
It's about damn time, right?
So yeah, shall we jump into question one?
Let's do it.
Okay, so to start off, Ben, could you give the audience a little context into what you do at the studio?
So I've been hired to look after our online titles. So that's recently released Roman Age of Caesar, which is in Alpha 2 now, and Stronghold Kingdoms. So that's kind of my primary role, but I also kind of help work alongside like Warlords, a little bit on Metamorph as well. So yeah, I'm general producer, but my focus point is our online titles.
Cool. So typically from a producer, just to let the audience know about what the role actually entails.
Yeah.
So my brief understanding of it is you work with all the different departments, and a lot of it is just talking to people, making sure lots of people know what they're doing with each other especially. So would you say something along those lines?
Yeah, pretty much. I mean, the easiest metaphor for it is that you're like an air traffic controller. So everybody's doing,
that sounds
doing
intense.
It can be, but on the flip side, it's you get to see everything as well. So it's just being like this kind of central point for everything, encyclopedic knowledge of what's going on and what needs to happen. You're just, everything that is involved with the game kind of flows through you.
Great.
You steer the ship, as it were, to a degree.
Wow.
Which is cool.
I'm happy having you as my captain, Ben. Lots of compliments going out so far. So what would be a typical 9 to 5 day, if we were to work 9 to 5, that is, 9 to 5 day for a producer? What would you do in a typical day?
So generally come in, caffeinate, I check, we have like monitoring systems, because they're online games, they're always online. So jump in, check our monitoring systems for those. Just general stats from the previous day, just kind of like seeing how it went yesterday. And then it would be like checking calendar. So I've like introduced calendar stuff that basically maps out what's happening in the games and when. So kind of open that up and go like, oh, a tournament's going live next week, so we need to prepare for that or whatever. And then it will be kind of catching up with everything from the night before. Again, online games, so things can very much happen overnight. And it's a lot of them are, server based. So a lot of the time we're at the mercy of server architecture a lot of the time. So anything can happen. So while it can be quite varied, there's the structural elements to it. And then it's checking project management software that we use and just seeing kind of what is on my team's to-do lists. And making sure that they're aware of what's going on and what's on the horizon kind of thing.
Cool. So would you say most of our audience members here are probably more of sort of the traditional Stronghold fans? So box products, as we like to call them, although that's a weird name that I never like using. But anyway, you know what I mean? Full games which you just buy once and play for 20 hours or hopefully a bit longer.
Forever.
But what would you say is like the main difference between producing, say, an online title like Romans or Kingdoms and something like Stronghold Crusader 2?
I've only like jumped onto Warlords briefly, and it was kind of to help out with the prep for Gamescom. But it was a really interesting window into the differences between those. So with Warlords, it was very much like you were producing to a fixed point in time. So like the week before Gamescom or whatever. While like with Romans specifically, it's very much like, okay, cool, Alpha 2's launched. 15, 20 minutes after we press the launch button, we're straight back in and cracking on with more bugs. There's no kind of reprieve. There's no kind of like...
There's no going for beers.
Exactly. And it's hard. That's probably one of the hardest things, and one of the biggest differences is that there's like no break point. And it's been pretty well documented with like World of Warcraft and stuff. That's come up before.
Yeah, because there's just a constant barrage of making you constant.
Yeah, and it burns people out. So it's, it's really important for us to like, we did it. Like, that's awesome.
Yeah, for sure.
But that's probably one of the main differences I've seen from my time here so far. Definitely.
Okay, cool. So now that the audience knows a bit about what you do at the studio and has probably, analysed your what you do every single day and sort of knows how you work with them. Did you always want to work in games, or did you sort of fall into it?
I think like being in the game industry was probably the first kind of like real career I aspired to. It wasn't one of those like, oh, I want to be an astronaut. So I originally wanted to and did work in game journalism for a while. Okay. So I was like kind of in the press media for about 5 years, and then I went into PR for video game PR for a few years as well, which was an absolute blast. I studied to make games, so I studied game development at uni as well. So I've been quite saturated in the game industry. So I guess it definitely wasn't kind of I always aspired to do game development. Yeah. But the more I got into the industry, the more I was like, hey, I could give this a go. This seems super interesting. And PR especially, you know, I was meeting developers and I was seeing like early alpha builds of games and going like, oh wow, like, this is so like it's like lifting the lid kind of thing.
So now, as I said in the intro, you're a newer member of the studio. So this question might be a little more difficult, but could you tell me your happiest memory at Firefly Studios? I mean, apart from this one right now, obviously. Apart from this one right now.
I've been like, you guys at lunch play Overwatch quite heavily, and I remember like my first week, it would like kind of hit lunchtime, and everyone's screens would go like, and just turn to Overwatch, and there's me like, can I play? And it was my best memory so far is my first play of the game.
Really?
So like that's that bit where like everyone's screen in the office was just like me.
Looking at you.
I was like, yeah, I'm one of the gang.
Yeah.
Yeah, that was good. That was good.
And now to sour that, what is your worst memory at Firefly Studios?
I mean, it could be Overwatch related.
Overwatch, yeah, but as soon as I began that question, I was like, I bet he goes back to Overwatch.
It's going to be, so I hadn't played it before except a like free weekend, like a PlayStation free weekend thing. And I had a vivid memory of Reinhardt's ultimate being spinning instead of his like slam thing. And I like remember we've got a group chat for Overwatch and I like dropped that in there. And then just got purely roasted.
I think there was, because I'm in that chat, and I think there was at least half an hour of...
Yeah, it was like a solid half an hour roasting.
Like, what you want? Like, you know, when your Overwatch facts aren't good in the Firefly office, you better run. You better run.
So yeah, that sucked.
But it's not the heaviest worst memory I've had. Let me just tell you that. So you're doing pretty well so far.
Okay, that's good.
So to move on back to more Firefly Studio centric stuff. Obviously, you know, I kind of make it a soft rule that you can't choose the games that you're currently working on. Okay. But do you have a favorite Firefly title?
Okay, so if it can't be
the ones you're working at the moment.
I've got to say Warlords.
Okay.
No, I've got to say Warlords. Like playing Warlords in the build up to Gamescom, and I've like obviously been seeing it before it was even announced. Like when it was next. Yeah. When I was like,
don't remind me of those dark.
Because I knew what its name was, and I was super scared to ever say it anywhere in case it got out.
Oh yeah. You should have been me, man. I joined in 2017, and Nick was like, "Oh, we have this thing called Stronghold next," and I was like, "Oh, we're gonna announce this in like 6 months." And nope, I was 3 years later. I was like, Yeah.
But yeah, the build up to Gamescom was super cool. Watching all of this stuff that's been like, you know, I've seen. Like the castle walls and stuff like that when they were proper white blocks, and then all the way up, and getting to play that and actually like playing a game all the way through was super cool. And it's just spicy gameplay. I'm here for that.
Well, you're doing well in the marketing terms for this interview, so go wish this Warlords. Just gonna throw that in there. Just got to throw that in there.
You got a wish list.
Yeah, you got a wish list. So to now take that to the wider gaming world.
Okay.
I don't know what that was. I don't know what I'm doing. What is your favourite game of all time?
Ooh.
Aside from Firefly titles, of course.
Does everybody make that face as well? They kind of go, ooh.
Let me just engage the brain.
It's a tough one though. I think like if you said like top 5, I think most people would kind of roll into it. But
this is 15 minutes, mate. This is 15 minutes.
I'd probably have to say, like in a pinch, I'd say Hyper Light Drifter.
Oh, okay.
It's one of the games that I remember playing, being like, wow, this is what games could be.
I mean, not to insult you, but I think I played like an hour of that game, which is like, all right, bye.
It resonated with me. It was it doesn't have any like text or vocal like voice acting.
Yeah.
It's all
So you just got to figure out for yourself.
yeah. It's all kind of subjective, interpretive stuff, which is by design really interesting. I'm super into the music. Disaster Piece, that's really cool stuff. The visuals, like being all pixel art and stuff. Yeah, it's just a game that super resonated with me and kind of made me wanna make games.
Okay.
And it released on my birthday. So.
Oh, I see. It's got some
obviously,
sentimental. So I doubt, because Hyper Light Drifter is like a single player indie sort of game, isn't it?
Yeah.
So I doubt, it's going to be your highest number of hours played. But as I say in every interview, I love knowing this about somebody else.
Okay.
I know probably many other gamers love knowing this about other gamers. But what's your highest number of hours played in any game ever? And this can be pre-Steam, like logged hours.
Okay.
If you just had to guess. And then give us a number as well. You have to give us a number.
Yeah. My gut instinct would always be to say like, Fallout 3. Because I know I have at least one save that was like 400 plus hours. One save. But
these are rookie numbers.
Yeah. I did a bit of math a few weeks ago, and Hearthstone has
Ben
like
does play at lunchtime, so.
I have well over 1,500 hours in Hearthstone.
1,500.
Well over, and that's
no,
conservative math.
Okay, yeah, no, I've got higher and something. Oh wait, I'm gonna save that for my interview. That's the season finale.
Spoilers.
That's the season finale.
Right.
1,500 is pretty good though. Although is it Hearthstone, I imagine most of it's kind of just like sitting there and like.
Yeah, it's super idle kind of game. Most of that will 100% be on iPhone or something, because I play it in the morning, like watching some YouTube with a coffee or whatever.
Okay.
It's like my kind of morning routine, as it were, for the last few years.
Cool.
That's only in 3 years though.
Still pretty good. I mean, my one is still in 2 years. It's under 3 years old. Okay, but yes, that's spoilers. That's spoilers, hey! You'll have to tune into the very special season finale of Stronghold and Chill. And to finish, what are you doing after this interview?
Oh, I've got a meeting.
Super exciting. Very exciting. So, can you let us know what that is? Is it a spoiler to know the meeting, or is it something very tame?
For Romans Alpha 2, we introduced advisors that kind of guide you through the process. They give you like extra rewards and stuff like that. But they're with Alpha 2's launch, they're quite early, so it's like pretty basic stuff like upgrade your house or like send a tax collector out and stuff like that. So it is quite, it's standard stuff, works people into it, but I'm working on doing all of the future ones. So it's quite a big thing, but that's been passed over to me now. That's kind of why production is so cool.
Okay,
yeah. I'm doing a bit of design, I'm doing a bit of this.
Yeah, you get a lot of work. I mean, that's quite typical for Firefly anyway. You get to like dip your fingers on things, but I imagine the producers like specialize to go in everywhere.
Because you feel like you're that middle point, so you know a lot about the game, so a lot of the time you know or you think you know what might be best for it. So
absolutely. Cool. So I think that brings us to the end of the interview. Firstly, I want to thank you so much for joining me today, Ben. It was a pleasure for me. I hope it was a pleasure for you.
No, thank you.
Of course, if you want to see any other episodes of Stronghold and Chill, we have episodes with some of our programmers, marketers, other producers. But yes, if you want to go check those out, of course you can. And as you probably saw in the video, we had some Romans Age of Caesar gameplay. That is currently in Alpha 2, and you can sign up for that right now. Also, as Ben mentioned, Stronghold Warlords, you can wishlist that on Steam right now as well. And of course, subscribe here on YouTube for more Stronghold content every single week. Give us a like, a comment, all that kind of jazz, and we'll see you next Thursday.